Welcome, everybody. Today, we're going to talk about today's recession versus 2008's recession. Aisha, what are your thoughts?
No recession is the same,
That is true.
right? So that means you cannot judge 2008's recession and compare it to the 2022 recession.
That is true.
Warren Buffett says that whenever everybody is running away, we should be running towards it. And so the mass media, I always say this, but I'm going to say it all the time. The mass media has created a lot of fear in people buying and selling homes. And I'm going to just do the Warren Buffett in this thing. So if everybody's running away, I'm going to run towards it. I don't think that the government will allow the housing market to crash. So I'm not worried about that. And there's always opportunity in any market. There's opportunity. And those investors that are serious investors and well educated, they continue to move despite what's happening in the market. And so I would look at the experts, not the news, but the people who are actually doing what it is that you want to do and see what moves they're making, but also do your own research to make the right move for you and your family.
You know, I think that people have a very short-term view of the market and a very short-term view of pricing and interest rates and things like that. And if you take a long-term view and a long-term approach, it can help you make decisions that provide what you need in the interim, and then you get the long-term benefit, right? So I'll give you an example. In 2022, there's a family out there who needs a place to live, right? And they might have been saving their money, all of whatever. And rent cost, a 3-bedroom apartment costs $2,300. Well, a mortgage on a 3-bedroom house, even at 6% interest rate, is 15, 17, depending on, the price point on the house. So it's still a time for you to buy, right? And I think people need to make purchase decisions based on not only what they can afford, but also what they need so that they can provide the long-term stability that housing provides and the long-term wealth gains, because somebody is making money regardless of what the market is doing. And at the end of the day, you have to realize that even at 7%, interest rates are much lower than they were at the 90s, and the 80s and things like that. And the reality of the situation is, while prices are higher, there's still opportunities. And that doesn't mean that you don't participate in the market. You get smarter in how you participate in the market. I looked at one of our rental properties interest rates, and we were at 5.5. And that's when it dawned on me. It's like, well, interest rates weren't 2% 4 years ago, right? So they were closer to this 4 years ago. We just didn't feel it.
Right.
And while prices are inflated, prices are coming down. People are adjusting accordingly. Sales have slowed up. The frenzy is out of the market now, and starting to continue to draw back. So it's still an opportunity. I always say that people with their stuff together always win, right? So you keep your credit together. You don't, incur a bunch of debt. You make sure that you're in a position to buy. You make sure you're in a position to invest. You stay liquid when you can. Stuff is more expensive. Groceries are more expensive. Gas is more expensive. Childcare is more expensive. All those things are true, but that doesn't mean it's not an opportunity for you and your family. It's just, you got to be smarter in how you approach it.
Yeah. No, I wholeheartedly agree with that. And I feel like, let's not cry over spilled milk, right? You look back and you look at 2019, 2020, 2021, and you feel like you missed out. Like, I should have bought then, so I'm going to wait. And waiting will put you in a worse position than not waiting. But also, I feel like not crying over spilled milk. You can't look at 2 years ago and wish that you could have did that today and be stuck where you are today. Make a decision with what you have today. Make a decision with what you have right now, because it will definitely benefit you greater than if you don't do anything. right now in this market, because you'll look back 2 years from now and wish you did something today. So use that, in my opinion, as a lesson to say, like, okay, I missed out on the 2%, 3%. Tough one.
We got some twos. We got some threes.
No. I'm just saying, if you missed out on that,
sure,
don't find yourself looking back 2 years later or a year later wishing you did something different. I mean, I was selling duplexes last year in the same area for $100,000 more than I sold them last year. Wait, this year.
Less than you are now.
Than I am now. Okay, y'all know what I'm trying to say. You get it. But the point that I'm trying to make is, I also have had clients that have come across my desk that hadn't pulled the trigger, didn't pull the trigger. And then as soon as that opportunity comes, he doesn't pull the trigger. Opportunity comes up again, he doesn't pull the trigger. Here he is the next year, $100,000 more, and he's trying to determine if he should buy a duplex
if you should pull the trigger.
And I'm saying the best time to pull the trigger was a year ago, but it's still a good time to pull the trigger. It just looks different.
I mean, and honestly, that's kind of, like you said, don't cry over spilled milk. That's life, right? Sure, it would have been great to take advantage of, $100,000 cheaper at a lower interest rate, but we are where we are. But that doesn't mean the opportunity is not in front of us. I think, all the indicators, while this is a recession, right? Like, that's true. And things are hard. That is true. Life ain't gonna stop.
And they're not impossible.
No.
They're difficult. They're different, but not impossible.
And it doesn't, you still have the thing, you still got to provide a roof over your head and food in your children's belly, and you got to get out here and hustle and work. You know what I mean? I think the reality of the situation is we are where we are. And as a people, especially our people, Black people, we've always made do. And the reality of the situation is, this is a time where we could strive to do better, right? Like, in the obstacle is the opportunity. And I think a lot of people see it as just, cloudy skies. And some people see it as an overcast day and the perfect day to go out and make some things happen. You know what I mean? So it's really based on your outlook that determines your outcome.
Yeah.
And if you change your outlook, you can have a much better outcome than you could if you just sat on the sidelines and didn't pull the trigger. You know what I mean? So, if you're thinking about it, if you're trying to figure it out, there's a lot of great information out here, whether it's our podcast or, some of the things that you can read. There's a lot of great information out here to educate you on how to make the right purchase decision for you and your family, but make a decision.
Yeah.
Because the only difference between 2008 and now is if you're participating or not, right? I think that's the biggest thing. And it was different in 2008. In 2008, it was, in a lot of ways, much less controllable than now.
It was a mortgage crisis.
Yeah.
Like, it was different than what we're experiencing now.
And it was a frenzy on a lot of different things, right? You couldn't buy. Values weren't there. Financing completely wasn't there. Now you got to have your stuff together. You got to have better credit. There are more stringent regulations, but the money's out there.
Which makes it even better, right? Because before, in 2008, you didn't have to have any of that stuff. I mean, literally,
you just
there
had
were no loans, no documents. You just say you want it, right? And able to come to the table and bring some money, and you got it. And so now there's much more stringent requirements in order to make these loans, which makes it better, right? So, but definitely different than what we're experiencing now.
And that means you can't hustle it up. You can't go and say, hey, I just want it because I want it. You got to actually be prepared.
It's gotta make sense. I'd like to take this opportunity about, spilled milk and all, and hope to reconcile with you this afternoon.
You're going to propose to me on the podcast?
Whatever happened today or the day before that, let's not cry over spilled milk, and let's, move forward.
I'm not crying over spilled milk. I'm definitely moving forward.
But you have to move forward with optimism and move forward in positivity as well.
I'm moving forward in positivity and optimism. You don't like when I don't. When you don't like when I just say no and I check out and I go, you know what? I'm not doing. You don't like that.
Yeah, because it's retaliation.
It's not retaliation. It's not retaliation.
Anyway, back to the topic of real estate.
You're amazing. You're going to make the whole podcast about our
I'm not.
relationship.
I'm
You
not.
said you didn't want to talk about
We're talking
a
about the
marriage topic.
recessions of 2008 versus the recession of 2022 and how they are different. And I think we have the same message all the time. Like, it's always a good time to get in real estate.
We also sell real estate, so take that all with a disclaimer. I think somebody said, what else are people who sell real estate going to say? It's a good time to buy all the time. I forget what podcast I was listening to. They were saying that. They were like, anybody who sell real estate for a living going to tell you it's a good time no matter what the time is.
Make the decision that makes the most sense for your family. I'm going to say, don't sit on the sidelines. And this is the Marriage and Real Estate podcast. So my thoughts are, if you are married and in real estate, you're listening to this, and I just don't want you to miss out again. And probably 9 out of the 10 couples that tune into this podcast can look back and feel like they missed out on something. Maybe it was a good deal that you thought was good, that you were like, I don't know if I'm ready right now. Maybe it was that duplex at $300,000 that now is $500,000. And you're like, man, I should have did something about that. It's the missed opportunities. And what I don't want you to do is miss out on another opportunity, because there's always a reason not to do something. There's always a reason not to buy. There's always a reason to be afraid of jumping into the real estate game or acquiring more real estate. But what you look for, you will find. So if you're looking for issues and trouble and problems, then 9 times out of 10, you'll find it. And if you're looking for opportunity, 9 times out of 10, you'll find it. 10 times out of 10, you'll find opportunity. So I'm just saying, take advantage of the opportunities that's happening in that market and shift your thinking to, how does this market benefit me?
No, I like that. And to speak just for a second to the people who aren't in a position to buy, it's always a great time to plan, right? Like, even if you can't buy, if you can't participate in this market right now and you do have to wait, that doesn't mean you don't have to have a plan, right? So you need to be working on what's your financial plan, what's your goals for your family, what's your 10-year, what's your 5-year. You know, those things don't stop. And the reality of the situation is, if you don't plan for the next 10 years, it'll be the next 10 years before you look up. So it's really up to you to take advantage of this time that you're hunkering down and, you know, you buttoning down the hatches, you making sure you guys survive the recession, to ask yourself, what are you doing after the recession? Because it won't last forever.
Yeah.
Right. And the blue skies do come back out, and you have to ask yourself, are you prepared to go back out in the world and do something? Or, you know, you're going to be in the same position regardless of if it's a recession or not, because the market's the market.
Yeah.
It's up to you to make a choice on where you are in the market.
Oh, that's good. I didn't think about that, but that's great. It is, because everybody's not in a place to buy right now, but you can plan or partner.
That's true. We
are proponents of partnerships as well to get things done, because we're stronger together than we are by ourselves. I am totally not making this about her.
All right.
There just happens to be lots of correlations between being married.
Yeah, we have a whole podcast about marriage. And
I know, but I'm just saying that was not me taking an opportunity to talk about, you know.
Well, in light of my birthday and the fact that it's Wednesday, I'm going to take this opportunity to go ahead and smash that like button, click that follow, click that notification bell for when our new episodes come out, because as a birthday gift to me, I want to see you guys follow us, like us, share us on social media. Let us know in the comments what you think about this recession happening right now, maybe what you went through in 2008 and what you plan to do when this is over or during this time right now. In the meantime, in between time, this is the Marriage and Real Estate Podcast. I'm Kevin. That's Aisha over there.
And I'm not going to end it because I have one more thing.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. And so you wrapped it up, and now I'm just unwrap it just a little bit.
Unwrap it like
2008, it was a very, very bad time, right? Very, very bad time.
But a great time for you.
But a great time for me. So you have to go back a few episodes to see the episode where I tell you my story of how I got started in real estate and bought my first property. But I bought that property in the height of the 2008 crisis, housing crisis, and how absolutely won, like $40,000 won, and how it became our first cash flowing property that cash flows over $700 a month to this day.
To this day.
To this day. So I implore you to go back to that episode and listen to that story. I think it's a really great opportunity for you to see how when the world is coming down and everything in the news is saying everything is bad in the real estate market, how people are still winning, because I totally won in 2008 and you can win in 2022.
I agree. This is the Marriage and Real Estate Podcast. Check out that episode. We out.